guide your students to exceed your expectations. This has been a big piece on my heart because I know that when we clearly communicate our expectations, the people around us want to meet them. However, I found some really fun quotes when I was getting ready for this webinar, and I thought this one was funny. When you have expectations, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And this was by Ryan Reynolds, who I absolutely love, but he brings up a good point. Sometimes we set some crazy expectations and we can be disappointed. However, during today's webinar, we're going to talk about how you don't need to be disappointed because your actions are going to actually drive results and they're going to drive others to want to meet your expectations. So buckle up. High expectations are the key to everything. Sam Walton said. He was the CEO of Walmart, and he set some pretty high expectations for himself and his employees, and look where he is today. So I want you to think about that as we are going through, whether you are thinking about your home, your school classroom, your dance class, wherever it is, having high expectations is the key. It is what's going to get everyone around you to elevate with you. Same with if you run a team, that's a really good example too. All right, this is a super adorable graphic with a huge idea behind it. I was in a staff development workshop probably 12 years ago now, and the woman handed out decks of cards and put us into groups of 4. And then she handed out all the instructions to us. Raise your hand if you've been through this, because it is a very good practice. She hands out instructions and all of us quickly read the instructions with our small group of 4. And then she says, all right, if everybody is clear on the expectations of the game, you may go ahead and get started. All right, we get started and we play, and there's a team of winners, like 2 winners and 2 losers. And after the round finishes, she says, okay, now you're going to rotate. Winners rotate to the right, losers rotate to the left, and we're going to play another round. But this time you're going to put your rules away, and there's no talking. So we're all like, okay, you know, I was in the winners group and I was pumped. I'm really competitive. And I move over to the next group and we start playing, and they're grabbing cards away from us. And my teammate and I are trying to do some nonverbal, like, what is going on? No, you're wrong. You don't win that round. And we quickly realize that the expectations are different in round 2, because group 1 got different expectations than group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6. So we have to find a way to adapt without talking and figure out, and we set new expectations within our second group. And then we have to rotate again. And I think we lost the second round. So we rotated to a different group. And now we're non-verbally trying to set up expectations of what wins and what's the best so that we can accurately play the game. Well, the reason I bring up this analogy is if we don't set other people up for success to win the game, they're going to be lost, confused, and frustrated. I used to teach middle school, high school, and so students were coming into my room every 45 minutes, and they had just been in a room with potentially different expectations than mine. And they were going to a room with potentially different expectations than mine. So I needed them to set them up for success in my room. And I needed to do that extremely well so that they could win. Because what happens, you saw my story, or you heard my story, and you heard how my voice said, and I'm pretty sure I won round 1. I was excited to share that with you. I was confident to share that with you. And when your expectations are clear and your students are meeting them, they are going to be more confident, not only in your room, but more confident to succeed as well. All right, welcome everybody. If you don't know me, I am Ann Vogt. I was a teacher, again, middle school, high school social studies for 12 years, and now I've worked with other education organizations for the past 4 years. I am on a mission. I am on a mission to support educators in building thriving environments where growth, belief, and learning are nurtured. And I truly believe that one of the biggest things and one of the easiest things you can do is what we're going to talk about today, which is set up clear expectations that people want to meet and exceed while they succeed. All right, we're going to talk through 3 different sections today, and I am going to move quickly. I would love it if you had some form of note-taking capability during this workshop. So either paper, pencil, pen, pencil, or some sort of device that you can be typing your notes on. What we're going to go through today will literally transform the environment that you want to transform, whether that be with a team, with a group of dancers, with a classroom of kids, or with your own children in your home. And it's simple, but there is a process to it, and writing it down, it really helps our brains remember the information. And that's what we want during these webinars, is not only that you're learning, but you're also taking it in so you can practice it afterwards. And we're going to practice a little bit today as well. All right, expectation setup is what we're going to talk to first. This is like bare bones, what you need to do and how to best do it. But then the key to success comes in 2 and 3. Appreciation drives action. And I think you guys are going to be able to really appreciate that in itself, because when you feel appreciated, you are more willing to do actions. And we're going to talk through how you do that with a strategy. And then consistency drives results. If I were to come on here and tell you the expectations and then completely throw them out the window and change up what I do for the next 30 minutes, that's not really helping anybody. And same with you in your classroom or your group. If you set up expectations and you're not consistent, it's not going to drive results. It's going to drive people away. All right. The first one comes from our modeling module. Now, when I'm talking about modules, impact to influence, the name of my business, impact is actually an acronym, and the M in impact is model. And I truly believe that when we model what we need from our people will be able to perform for us or with us. So setting up the expectation. Something that I have found to be so true, I have a 6-year-old son, and he thrives off of the why versus the what. So I can say, pick up your room. And of course, as a young kid, he would say, why? And a lot of times just giving that why was enough motivation for him to accomplish a task. So as we go through this, just remember, why are you asking whoever it is you're asking to do something? Why are you asking them? I had a woman reach out to me and say, hey, is this course going to help me with husbands and getting my husbands to exceed my expectations? And I laughed, but then I said, yes. And this might be the ticket right here. If you are struggling to finish all the housework, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, sometimes simply stating the why you need their help is all people need. And again, this could go back to a team as well. So let's talk about setting up the expectations. So number 1, what do you want them to do? Clear and simple. What do you want them to do? So with our example today, I'm going to talk through students and cleaning up their workstation when they are done. So this could be used kindergarten all the way up through high school. When they're working on some sort of a project, I want them to clean up their workstation when they're done, right? Easy peasy. Or this might be at home. I want my kids to clean up after they're done playing. All right, why does it matter? So I want them to clean up so that the space is ready for the next activity. It's that simple. I want them to clean up when they're done so that the space is ready for the next activity. What is expected of them? Me simply saying, hey, I want you to clean up. What does clean up mean? I think a lot of us have different versions of clean. And so making sure that you are specific with what is expected. I need to see all of your scraps cleaned up and your table clear. So that would be a very clear expectation. And then what is going to happen if it's not met? Now, I will throw in a little caveat here. I do not use this fourth step if I do not need to. So at home, now that we've established expectations, my kids know how to meet them, how to exceed them. I don't really go into number 4 because they don't need to know what's going to happen if it's not met, because the expectation is it's going to get met. But in the beginning, and if you have, just a tougher kiddo who needs to know this, you're going to want to throw in that fourth one, which would be something like, we will not be able to move on to our next activity until everyone's space is clean. All right, so going back through, what do you want them to do? I want you to clean up your space when you are done so that we can move on to the next activity. I expect to see all of the scraps off of your table and that your table space is clean. And we will not be able to move on until that is done. Easy peasy. Most of you are already doing this. Sometimes though, it comes in chunks and the people we are talking to don't get the full picture right off the bat. So imagine, let's take this back a little bit. And if I am a mom who doesn't set up things this way, I'm going to say something like this. I need you to clean up when you're done. And then my kids are going to be like, it is clean. No, we need this space cleared so that we can have dinner tonight. Why? Why do we have to do that? I already cleaned it up. No, I need everything cleared off the table. I need the table clear. Well, why don't you do it? Well, we're not going to be able to have dinner until this gets done, right? Same steps, but in a back and forth that might not be as healthy, or the tone might change throughout. So this way you are giving a 20-second expectation that they now know all of the steps, and now they can be confident in doing what you need them to do. So I want you to think through 3 expectations that you have. And if you want to break this up, like, ooh, I want this one at home and this one at school and this one with my coworkers, whatever it is, I want you to take a second and write down 3 expectations and just pencil in these ideas, or maybe what you would say or how you would say it. So I'm going to give about 2 minutes for you to write down your top 3. And if you could please add one of them in the chat. So go ahead and just type out either one thing that you want an expectation to get met, and then how you would say it, or if you just want to write down what's one that you want to focus on right now. But I would love to see in the chat what is one that you really want to focus on, or one that's been driving you crazy this summer that you want to change up your wording. So I'll give you 2 minutes to go ahead and do that. There we go. All right. So I want to hear, what is one of your expectations? Drop that in the chat. I think this summer, the biggest one we've been working on is having help making supper. My husband is home now, and he is constantly wanting assistance in the kitchen, which is fine. But so really giving our kids a reason to come in and help, and set that expectation that we work together as a family. So we love your help in the kitchen. Everything goes a lot faster when you guys are able to help us. So if Ella, you could do blank, and Landon, you could do blank, that would be greatly appreciated. And a lot of times they come right on in and help, which is so nice. All right, Jamie says, with 2 kids, with learning differences, asking for just about anything can be a struggle. The why is not always understood, absolutely, is the logical thing to do. So if I had to choose one thing to start with, it would be, you take it out, you put it away, absolutely. And again, just really clarifying for them, like, why do they need to put it away? And what does that look like? Do I need to put it away under the bed, or do I need to put it away exactly where I found it? And we're going to talk about how to even expand on this to make sure they accomplish this task here in the next part. So perfect. Thank you for sharing, Jamie. Appreciation drives action. Okay. I know that teachers, we are the best at setting expectations, clarifying rules of the room, and all of that jazz. As parents, we're great at this too, right? But here, I truly believe is the secret sauce. And I learned this from my most fabulous role model in my entire life, which is my father. And I did not even realize what he was doing while I was growing up until I got out of his environment and was like, how come no one is appreciating all the amazingness that I am doing? And it really came down to when I listened to my dad talk to my kids, he is consistently complimenting their actions. I'm going to say that again. He is consistently complimenting their actions. He's not saying things like, oh, that's great, you're wonderful, good job. He's consistently appreciating their actions. And that is what we are going to go through here. Learning in your classroom, in your home, moves at the speed of trust. And again, if we're all playing by different rules in our game, we don't trust the game and we don't trust the person who put us in this game situation. And so having trust in our relationships by consistency and appreciation, learning is going to move quicker and things are going to happen faster because of that. All right. One thing my dad used to do that I, again, did not recognize until I was an adult is he would compliment actions. And that is really what I want you to take away from today is appreciation drives action, and that gives students confidence. So saying things like, I see, or I notice. So let's go to Jamie and her situation with her kiddos, wanting her kids to put things away after they take them out. So she could say, I see that there are still toys on the floor. I would appreciate if those would get picked up because the expectation was that we put things away when we are done. And you are so responsible when you do that. All right, that's if they're not quite doing it. When they are doing it, the first time, Jamie, that one of your kids puts something away on their own without you saying it, jump on that opportunity. So I see that all of the cards got picked up. I appreciate that you put your things away. You are so responsible. This is going to change the game in all aspects. I'm talking, I was a middle school teacher, as I already shared, and I would literally walk around and I would say, I see that you are working. I appreciate your work ethic. You're a hard worker. I see that you are on time today. I appreciate that this class is a priority. You are timely. What does this do for kids? What does this do for anyone, but especially kids? It is a trigger in their brain that says, I am responsible. My mom thinks I'm responsible. My teacher thinks I'm prepared. My teacher thinks I'm a hard worker. A lot of times, these are not things they're thinking about themselves. And so us pointing them out is going to take their confidence to a whole nother level. So write this down. I see, I appreciate that. And then you're going to explain the expectation goes there. And then you are, and you're going to share a characteristic of what they are based on what they did. And this goes back to a lot of psychology of you're not a bad person. That was a poor action, right? So now we can separate the kid from an action that they did. So they're not thinking, I'm stupid because I didn't know the answer, or I'm forgetful because I didn't do what she asked me to. Instead, it's right now, my actions don't match who I am because I know who I am because people who are around me are constantly telling me who I am. All right, so as we go through, you've given your expectation, now you're gonna observe. So the first step is you're gonna observe. You're gonna watch for things going well and for things not going well. And then you are going to compliment their action and give appreciation. Going back to that previous slide. So you're gonna watch, oh, they're doing it. Or right as they're about to start picking up, Jamie, that is exactly when you are going to compliment that action. Wow, thank you for starting to clean up because I announced it's time for dinner. I appreciate that you're gonna be responsible and clean up your toys. And then lastly, group praise. This is definitely for a school setting or for a home setting. If everyone does the action together, or if the majority do, really again, at the end, say, I saw that everyone was responsible of their own desks and cleaning off their space. I appreciate that you all listened. You are all responsible kids. Or I appreciate that you are responsible kids. You can phrase that last one very differently. This is when they're doing it correctly. Now, I know everybody's minds are going, but what happens when they don't? And here it is. We are missing the mark. We need to remind them that of the expectation and then give a compliment as soon as we see any type of movement towards meeting that expectation. So let's say we're in a third grade classroom and they're supposed to be cleaning off their desks of all these scraps, and you've got a dawdler. And she might be picking up a piece of paper one at a time. That's okay. She is trying to meet your expectation. It is just going a lot slower than you expected. So you are going to walk over and you are going to say, Josie, I see that you are starting to pick up your scraps. If you notice, most of the students are done. So if you could do that quicker, you're going to be able to join us over on the carpet and we're going to be able to move on to our next activity sooner. All right, so you're giving a compliment, explaining what she needs to do and what's going to happen when she does it. If the expectation is not being followed, they are not cleaning up their scraps, they are talking, they are loud, things are taking way too long, you're going to use a very similar structure. I saw that we did not clean up our table spaces. What we need to do in order to move to the next activity is go back to our tables and clean off our scraps. Because when we have a clean surface, we can move on. Next time, I'm going to expect us to clean off our scraps right away when we are done. All right, so you're kind of setting them up for next time. They failed this expectation, that's okay. We're focused on growth, and now we need to help them get through to the next step. So this is a good overview. If you are on a device where you can take a screenshot of this, this is just a great sequence that you can use throughout. And now, again, going back to home life, kids cleaning off the table when they're done with their meal, if they're not doing it, they've walked away from the table, you remind them, remember, we clean up after ourselves, and that way we can all move on to the next activity together. And then as they come over to pick up their plate, as they're picking it up, you are simply going to say, I see that you are picking up your plate. I appreciate that you are a great listener and you're so responsible for taking care of your things. All right. I know it may seem awkward at first, but change is the game. What we just went through, those two were both impact techniques. So in the impact module, those are under the model and the appreciation modules. I want to just take a second. You can see how easy to use these are and how quickly these will get results. And the best part about the impact techniques is they are sustainable. This is not something you're going to use for the first week of school or in your home up until summer gets done. These are things you're going to use throughout time to really build up the people that you're around to help them meet expectations and then help them to want to exceed them, which we'll get to here in just a second. We had a nanny who was in our April session. She's a teacher, and then in the summer, she was a nanny. And she said the other day, I used the impact techniques, and it was amazing how quickly the room got cleaned up. I've also tried these tools on their school assignments, and the results have been amazing. They're excited to do their work correctly and quickly, and the fighting over reading, writing, and math is over. And this is such a blessing. So Matheson took one of our impact courses back in April, and we have another impact course coming up. So I just want to make sure that you guys are in the loop that we have a 2-week impact workshop starting on August 9th. Right now there's early bird pricing, so you can actually get a discount on these before August 2nd. But what the workshops go through is the whole IMPACT module training. You learn lots of techniques that, again, are easy to use and easy to put into action immediately. The best part that's different from our webinars is you can take webinars and trainings all the time, but with the workshop actually comes what's called the workroom. It's a place where 8 individuals, myself included, and a small group get together and practice these techniques for 1 hour. So instead of just writing down notes like you are today, we're able to have a back and forth using these phrases. And what is incredible is as you go through and say them out loud to a small group of people, what we find is our participants actually start realizing where they're maybe needing some work. And the transformation is almost instantaneous in the couple minutes that they get on each session. So those workroom calls are incredible for practice and to collaborate and meet other educators and really be filled up by people who are on a mission to change their classroom cultures. The workshops always come with a workbook and continuing education credits. So at the end of this course, if you want to connect with me, if you have other questions, you can do that. You can always drop them in the chat as well right now. And one more thing that comes with this 2-week impact workshop, because it's kind of back to school almost season, there is a problem solving prep time. And what that is a 30-minute one-on-one call with me where we go through your plan and we make sure you feel confident that you are going to succeed with that plan going forward. So that's coming up here in a couple weeks. Get registered by August 2nd for that early bird pricing. And again, drop any comments in the chat that you have. All right, so we've set up our expectations. We've started appreciating the expectation being met. We've appreciated the actions that our people are taking. Now it's time to help them exceed the expectations. What you are going to find, especially with kids, is that when they do something, man, that confidence is like through the roof. They are excited. They're going to be excited to tell you. Jamie, they are going to come to you after they get done playing. They're going to run up to you in another room and they're going to say, Mom, I just cleaned up all my toys that I was playing with. Like, that is how excited they are going to be to meet your expectation when you foster this relationship. So you're going to give the expectation, you're going to observe the behavior, you're going to compliment the behavior, but then you're going to ask for more. Now, the way I use this example, I had middle school students who it was expected during work time on their Chromebooks that they were working and they were focused. If they had a question, they could ask a neighbor quietly, or they needed to raise their hand or come find me. This is kind of the expectation. And after a week of really fostering this relationship with them of, you guys are doing great, I really appreciated that, and talking through the ones who weren't, I started to ask for more. And I would say, man, this last week, you guys have been incredible during our work time, but we're still having some missing assignments. So some things, you're working great during the hour, but we're not getting things completed. So what I want to challenge you today is during your work time that you really work to complete the assignment during this class period. And what that means for you is no homework outside of class. And that is really going to make you feel proud to walk in tomorrow knowing that your work is done and you didn't miss a deadline. And it was amazing how now they're excited because there's a new challenge. And we would compliment that as they went through that process again. And then I would recognize it at the end of the hour. And I would say, oh my goodness, you guys are so respectful and so responsible. Today, Everyone was working when I asked you to. You came up and asked me incredible questions, which tells me that you are engaged in what you are learning. And I am just really proud of the students that you are. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow because almost all of you have your assignments in. Something like that, where you're giving recognition at the end of the hour or at the end of an activity. So recognition is seriously the key, my friends. Like if you can be pointing out what they are doing, it's going to change the game. And yes, Jamie says, wouldn't that be wonderful? It will be wonderful. I am excited for you and for you to get trying this new strategy, this new technique. All right, notice how I have used the phrase, that's very responsible, or that was very respectful. I want you to really think about what characteristics you want your people to have. Is it your kids? Are they fighting a lot? So are you wanting them to be more kind to each other? Is it that lack of responsibility, that they're not cleaning up after themselves? Like what characteristics do we want our students to have or our kids to have? And I really want you to think through a few of these. And the reason for that is when we know, okay, I want them motivated to learn. I want them respectful. I want them responsible. We can make a list of these characteristics, and then we can look for actions that match that characteristic. If I am looking for responsible students, I am looking for them working when it's time to work. I am looking for them to ask questions when they don't understand something. I am looking for them to turn in things on time, and I'm looking for them to ask me if they need more time. These are 4 things that I expect out of responsible students. So when a student walks up and says, Mrs. Vogt, I worked so hard, but I know I'm not going to get this done, and I've got a basketball game tonight, and I'm not going to get home until late. Can I turn this in tomorrow after class or whatever it is? I can start with, Josie, that was so responsible of you to come ask me for an extension. Absolutely. I appreciate that you are letting me know that you are working hard on this and you need some more time. All right. So when your brain is focused on these characteristics that we want, when we see it in the middle of an hour, in a conversation, in the car, whenever it is, we can instantly recognize it. And again, going back to that cycle, we can really explode this exceeding the expectation. They may be exceeding something really, really well. We'll start pointing that out so they want to exceed in the other expectations that you have. So right now, take just another 30 seconds. And what are some characteristics and actions associated with those characteristics that you want to see so that you can identify them? And again, going back to Jamie's scenario too with cleaning up, okay, maybe that's not their strong suit right now, but they're really great at brushing their teeth in the morning. Let's just throw this out. Pinpoint that and be like, wow, I love that you wake up and brush your teeth right away. That's really great for your hygiene, and it's really responsible of you. And then again, you're dropping the seed that they are responsible so that when you ask them to pick up their toys, you can use that word again and they're like, bing, I am responsible. So I do put away my toys. All right, see how this can kind of merge and really, again, build that confidence and get that energy behind meeting those expectations. All right, lastly, we can do all the things, guys. And if we are not doing it consistently, we are not going to get the results we want. And that's in everything we do in life, right? That's in a workout routine. That's in a skincare routine. That's in getting your child's behavior to change. Consistency drives results. This is under the Cultivate module in the Impact Method. All right, so how do we sustain this culture of exceeding expectations? It's being consistent. It's stating the expectations every single time we do an action. And that doesn't need to be a 10-minute boring lecture to your students or to your kiddos about what's needed of them. It's 30 seconds. All right, as we go into the grocery store, guys, we are not getting anything besides the 11 items on my list. I'm going to need you to stay with me, and I'm going to need you to help as we go through the store. And the reason for that is it's going to be so much faster to get in and out with your help. I appreciate that you guys are going to help me be responsible today. That easy. So state the expectations daily. Or if you're a teacher, as you transition to a new activity, what is the new expectation? And then appreciate all of the positive actions. Yes, you're going to be working on those missing the mark as well, but you are going to be laser focused. Now, I will say, there is positives and negatives to pointing out the positive actions going on in the room out loud to everybody. There is something to be said about that. But there is also something to be said about being laser focused on all of the people that are doing what's supposed to be done by walking around the room and simply saying, Brittany, I love that you are working hard. Kaden, I love that you are quiet while you are working today. Joshua, I absolutely love how you are diving into the material today. And just quietly acknowledging. I will tell you that that is so much more powerful than a group compliment throughout the activity. Now, group compliments are great at the end, but as the activity is happening, really focusing individually on the people who are accomplishing your actions is so important. It is going to grow their confidence, and the kids around are going to say, I want her to say that to me tomorrow, right? So really appreciate the positive actions. And then restart when needed. The P in the impact module is problem solve. And this is for you and them. So there's two major parts in the problem solve module. How can you problem solve within your classroom as things come up? But then also, how can you teach your students and your people to problem solve so that they can gain independence and confidence to tackle problems as they arise? And then lastly, focus on growth. So this is the C in the cultivate. And like we're talking about here, we want to cultivate this culture and foster this environment of accomplishment. So focusing on what they did accomplish throughout the activity is also so important. You're not going to state these expectations and the very first day have 100% of the kids. I mean, if you do, you've already got a lot of trust in that space, which is awesome. But if you are struggling to have them, with your expectation and set that tone, you're not going to see 100% results right away, but you're going to see growth. And you're going to want to focus on that growth, because if we start in September with these great expectations and they start to dwindle by October, November, right around winter break, we all know what it's like being in a classroom around winter break. It's bananas. But if you are consistently focused on their growth and what they have done well and appreciated what they've done well and told them who they are and who they're becoming, that is going to get results all the way through the end of the year. And the reason we call this impact to influence is we want to impact our students during the year to influence them throughout their lives. You guys, I just got tears pricking my eyes whenever I say that, because it's so true. That we really want to focus on their growth long term. We want our kindergartners to feel responsible and respectful and that they're kind, so that as they move throughout their whole journey of school, that they remember those things about themselves because we made such an impact on them and their confidence. And the same goes with middle school, high school. As we get them and we build up their confidence, we want to make that impact that influences their life choices, that influences what they do after, influences them to reach their potential and follow their passion. Like, oh, I can spew about this all day long because this is my dream. And so really focus on growth. Jamie, when they pick up half the room, focus on that. That was growth. I appreciate that you got half of your toys picked up. that was really responsible of you. Let's get the rest picked up together. Or let's get the rest picked up so that we can have this space for after dinner time or whatever it is. All right, again, we went through a couple different modules. We did not go through all of the techniques and the information in those modules, but we touched on each of these. The M for model, the P for problem solve, A for appreciate, and C for cultivate. And yes, the I and the T are going to stay a mystery. You can catch more on this in our impact workshops, which again are coming up August 9th. The way it works, just to get a little more into specifics, is Monday and Wednesday are training days. So you're going to learn the modules on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then Tuesdays are those live workroom calls where you're in a small group. You can really join up together with others and have an exciting conversation and really practice. You get that workbook. With this workshop specifically, you get 10 continuing education units or credits. You get added to an impact educator community, and you get that 30 minutes of problem solving with me towards the end of the workshop. This workshop is truly going to transform you and who you work with, and that is what is so exciting. It is open now, and again, early bird pricing is through August 2nd. Before we end today, I just want you to think about, this was all great, useful information, right? But what can you commit to? Can you commit to start complimenting your kids more when they do something that was great? Can you commit yourself to setting up clear expectations? I did not say this during the training, but every time we need to go back to, what did we do during this situation? How did I set them up for success? Was I giving them mixed instructions in the game, or was I clear and was I supporting them throughout? And that's hard to do sometimes. It's hard to look back on us. Sometimes I get in the car and I'm frazzled and I've been telling them to hurry up and get in and we gotta go. And then all of a sudden it hits me of like, oh geez, that was not how we needed to set that up. And it was on me. It's not on them. It was on me. So really, what can you commit to as you move forward using this information? And then be prepared to look for it. If you're going to commit to clear expectations, I want you to look for it. I want you to walk out of the room right now if you've got kids in your house and you need them to get ready for lunch, or you need them to help you decide what's for lunch. How can you set up an expectation right now as you exit the room? What are you going to see yourself doing? Or what are you going to see your kids doing that makes you go, whoa, this is working? So I want you to take a second. You can think about it. You can put it in the chat. You can write it down. But what can you commit to? And what are you going to see when you saw that, or when you know that it's working? Oh, I love it. Valerie said, this is absolutely an area I want to improve upon this school year, a clear rhythm for our day and how I can set us all up for success. Valerie, I love that. The other thing to note is in the impact techniques, we actually do a practice with how to set up your day, like your hour, and how to end your hours so that they are cohesive. So again, your kids feel so confident that they know what to expect and they know what they did well and what they need to improve on. So Valerie, I appreciate that so much. All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you and I appreciate everything you're doing. We have this incredible task to grow other humans, to grow their success, to nurture their learning, to nurture their belief in themselves. And again, that is what's going to take them from where they are now to reaching their full potential. And know that you will have impact. You will have impact, and you get to choose if that is positive impact or negative impact. But I know that you are here today because you are wanting to make that positive impact, and I truly believe that you can do that. If you have questions or comments, please drop those in the chat, or reach out to me. My email address is there at the bottom, impact@anvote.com. You can join us over on our Facebook group. You can follow Impact to Influence on Facebook. And then within there, there is a group called the Impact Teachers Lounge, which is a positive teachers lounge and a safe space for us to communicate these ideas and these thoughts and just how we can together change the course of education and really start instilling skills and beliefs in our kids so that they can go do what they are driven to do in life. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. I am going to open it up for questions, but I am going to stop the recording here.